What is up, everybody? Welcome, Perichoresis. This is the Daily Dance. Today is part 9 of this movement series. And what we've been talking about for this week specifically is how Jesus shows up and he tells the people, like, before you leave Jerusalem, before you go and do anything, you can't start anything until you have this gift, the gift of the Spirit. And so what we've been talking about here in this movement series is, what does it mean to walk and live life with the Spirit? So a couple days ago, we looked at the book of Galatians, and in this letter that Paul writes, he explains to people what it looks and sounds like to walk and live life with the Spirit. And the first thing he breaks down is, when we walk and live life with the Spirit, that means we're going to experience love. And then we talked about that. And then yesterday, Paul says, okay, when you walk and live life with the Spirit, that means you're going to experience joy. And so we talked about that. But today specifically, Paul says, and by the way, when you're walking and living life with the Spirit, it means you will experience peace. But like, what does that even mean, right? Like, peace? In 2018, like, a lot of times we don't talk like this, like, oh, peace be with you. What does it mean to experience and to have peace? First, let me break down what I think it doesn't mean. Some things that just break my heart, being a youth pastor in America, are stats like this. 1 in 12 teens in America cut themselves. 1 in 3 teenagers, 1 in 3 engage in self-harm regularly. 75% of high school seniors drink alcohol regularly. 52% of high school teens in America experiment with drugs regularly. 1 in 3 girls by the age of 20 get pregnant. And then finally, one last stat. 26%, basically 1 in 4, of teens in America are diagnosed with depression due to home and school stress and anxiety. And so when we live in a world full of stress and anxiety and pressure at home and pressure at school and pressure that we put on ourselves and social pressure and then social media pressure, and we have to deal with all this stuff, and let's be honest, people, like, we have a hard time dealing with all this pressure. And so we spend all this time trying to escape from all of this pressure. And so we engage in certain activities, right? Like drugs, to try and escape. I just want to experience a little bit of escape from the pressure, or alcohol, or sex, right? I just need to escape the stuff that I'm dealing with, right? So we engage in all of these things with all of this stuff going on all around us, and it's like we're crying out for anything, right? Self-harm or whatever, to try, in the middle of stuff happening, to try and experience peace. What's interesting is the word that Paul uses, we can almost define it by its antonym. And that is, I find this amazing, the opposite of peace, this word that he uses in Greek, literally means stress and anxiety. Now, let's be clear. It's not like when we show up with God and it's like all of a sudden we have no more stress. Like, no, that's not true. Or all of a sudden we have no more pressure. No, that's not true. Like, we still have academic pressure. We still have expectations that we have to meet. But what he's saying is, but when you live with the Spirit, you can handle all of this. It's like you have all this stuff going on, but when you're walking with God, God will give you this peace, this calm that surpasses understanding. For me personally, like a very recent, just palpable experience I've had with this peace that surpasses understanding was this whole decision and process to move from Loma Linda, California to Kettering, Ohio. All the people who out there in Loma Linda, California, or in Southern California, like, you have no idea. Like, I love you, I miss you. Like, my heart, a piece of my heart and my soul and my being is still there in Loma Linda, I love the teachers, the principals, the school, the students, just the ministry, the camaraderie, the community of Southeastern California Conference, and all of that down there. So I miss you, right? It was good. It was so good, right? We were doing a lot there. And then, you know, this church from Ohio calls and says, hey, you know, want to come out? And my wife and I prayed about it. And we're like, yeah, no. And then they did it again. And then finally we're like, okay, fine, we'll go out. And I've told this story before. And so Andrea, right, we get the kids on the plane there on Ontario Airport to fly out to visit here in Ohio to check the church out. And Andrea, she actually says, like, I feel guilty because here's this church spending all this money on us to fly out and check out this church, and we're just gonna say no, right? Because everything's good here in Loma Linda and what we were doing there. And so we were gonna say no. And then we come out, we check it out, we talk to the people, we meet the community, we engage with the church a little bit, and God gave us a taste. So we're packing up the kids here in Ohio to head back to Loma Linda, there in Ontario. And I just look at my wife, Andrea, I'm like, wow, like, what do you think? And she just looks at me and she's just like, babe, like, we are called to come here. We had this peace. It didn't make sense at the time. At the time, we did not understand why, but it's like, but God is in control. It's like, no matter what is happening around us, yeah, sure, there are cars and buses and stuff traveling all around, but you know what? It doesn't matter because God is in control. And because of that, we can have peace. So what would happen today if we stopped, you know, trying to seek out peace in all these other different ways, or you have friends, I know you do, that try and seek out and reach for peace in several different ways. But what if we just said to God, okay, God, I want to experience your peace. I want to experience your calm. In the midst of the chaos and the mayhem and the pressures and the stresses of life, I pray for this peace. What would it look like if you started to pray for peace today? And honestly, Perichoresis, that is my prayer for all of us. No matter what we have going on, may we just be able to sit and chill because we have confidence God's in control. And so we can have peace.